Welcome to livzenastrology. My name is Ella Ivy, and I was compelled to come on here and talk some astrology. This is an intuitive astrology update, reveal, reflection, if you will. And yeah, first of all, I want to welcome you to the channel. Thank you so much for being here, for being a vibrational match. And I would welcome conversation. Please come in, let me know where you are if you're coming in live, where you're streaming from, and how you came into love astrology. For me, astrology has been such an incredible tool of self-discovery, of just being able to go inwards and discover and reflect on and pay attention to these cosmic energies that are around me and integrate it in a way that gives me not just understanding, but understanding, right? To be able to go into the depths of self to figure out what the heck's going on. And how does this all work? How is this operating system working? And how can I integrate and utilize this energy for the highest and best, not just for myself, but for everybody around me? Because if you're attracted to this channel and you're a vibrational match to this channel comes from the precept and the maxim that all is self, that there's nothing outside of us that's happening that's not directly reflected by what's happening internally. There's a sect of astrology called astrophysiology, and now I just came across the reflection or a term that I'd never heard of. I think it's called, oh gosh, I just lost it as I was talking. Terrestrialism, or the theory of Terra. So I'm gonna have to look it up and put it down there because it just kind of lost me. But I came across it. Basically, it's saying that everything that's happening on the terrestrial field, which is Terra, which is Earth, is also happening internally within you. I think it's called the terrestrial theory. Gosh, I have to think anyway. It just kind of comes and goes. This is why I journal, right? Because insights come and go, guys. And it's just like, I see it like the ocean. They're fish that swim quickly if you don't catch them, right? This is why writing is so important. But before we get into this channeled intuitive astrology session, I just want to invite you to maybe take a breath, maybe grab an oil or a crystal, maybe grab something to drink, because we're going to go into, again, this sort of channeled reflection. Maybe take some deep breaths. Then allow yourself to receive whatever wants to come through, right? Because if you're a vibrational match, that means we're here to help one another by just allowing ourselves to receive the channeled information and to share it. And whatever resonates with you, please take it, utilize it for your highest and best experience. And if it does not resonate, please just leave it and leave it for somebody else. Again, this is intended, and also intended, this is timeless. So whenever you come across this information, I know that this transit that we're going to be looking at specifically, this cazimi happening with Uranus and the sun, is around May 17th, 18th of 2025. But again, this is going to be this is intended to be timeless. So whenever you come across this is going to be, there's something in it for you. Okay. So again, just take a breath, maybe put your hand on your heart, being willing to receive that which is for you and for your highest timeline experience, right? Because we're all here for one another. Because you are me, I am you. And let's just allow the energy to come through as it will. So just setting that intention, taking a breath, maybe taking something to drink. And let's look at some astrology. Let's look at the upcoming energies. But let's first talk about this past full moon in Scorpio on May 12th. And boy, it was a doozy. And I say this because I have natally my moon in Scorpio. So I'm kind of used to the intensity of Scorpio. I think it's just part of the dance of being a daughter of Pluto and Mars. Everything tends to be intense, right? The emotions, the thoughts, the transformations. There's a level of intensity that happens on a cellular level. You can actually feel heat in your body. I don't know if you guys want to put in the comments what you experienced. I was feeling a lot of almost like if you're a female and you've ever gone through the change, you get hot flashes and then cold, and I just couldn't pick a temperature, right? It's like my body was hot on the outside and I was sweating, but then I was cold on the outside. And so I could feel all these energetic adjustments happening. Now, I also use the knowledge of astrology through the Farmer's Almanac and just through the wisdom that our ancestors left us about these moons of the cycle. And when the moon is full, this is when parasites, things hatch, right? So I think of like, not just parasites, but just things in nature tend to follow the cycles of the moon. I think of like turtles, right? That go and they lay their eggs at this certain part of the beach and then they hatch during full moons, right? So things hatch, things come alive, things are revealed. This is why the moon, right? It's if you look at it like a spotlight, it's almost like it gives our animal nature a reflection point to move towards, right? It's like a timing cycle. So when the moon is full, things come to light, things come to life, to be seen, to be hatched, to be revealed. And so the Scorpio full moon, especially because it was conjunct, or at least within the window, it wasn't conjunct, because I believe Black Moon Lilith was at 7 degrees, but it's still in that wheelhouse of Scorpio. And so Black Moon Lilith is an asteroid. She is a part of the cosmos, a part of where the ecliptic happens with the moon, from my understanding, that can't be seen. So it's almost like the opposite of what can be seen during the moon. It's the shadow aspect of the feminine, right? This is what the story tells us anyway. And so I would invite you to look to see where Black Moon Lilith is in your chart and what sign she transits natally, because this past full moon, she was transiting through Scorpio, which is the parts of us that are hidden. It's our sexual nature. It's, again, the occult part of us that isn't seen. It rules the 8th house, which rules sex, death, and taxes, right? So in Black Moon Lilith, her archetype is supposedly before there was Adam and Eve, there was Adam and Lilith. And Lilith was a very strong, powerful divine feminine that was equal to Adam. And supposedly in the story, the archetype is she left the Garden of Eden because Adam wanted to be with her sexually in a way that would dominate her. And she wasn't going to have that, right? Because she's his equal. So because of her refusal to be dominated sexually, especially, she left the garden, right? And then she became outcasted, and then her archetype was, that she killed children and she did all these nefarious things because she wouldn't follow the precepts of God and Adam, right? The creator and the creator's child, Adam, right? Atom. So again, these are just stories that talk about our psycho-spiritual nature, those aspects of us that are naturally rebellious, that all of us have. Where none of us are exempt from these energies, but the archetypes are being upgraded, right? How we're utilizing these energies, what we're doing with these energies to evolve, to grow, to expand, and to become the highest versions of ourselves, right? But we have to be able to look at these shadows or these aspects of us that will not be controlled, right? This is also revolutionary energy, which I also think of Aquarius and Uranus. And this is what we're moving into today, as we're going to be talking about this cazimi. And in astrology, cazimi means the heart of the sun. It's an Aramaic term that means in the heart of. So anytime the sun is conjunct a planet or an asteroid or whatever that other planetary celestial bodies, that's called a cazimi. And this particular cazimi that we're going to be looking at today with the sun in Taurus, it's going to be conjunct or cazimi Uranus in Taurus at 27 degrees. What's significant about this is usually those cazimis with Uranus happen about once a year, but because Uranus is leaving Taurus, it's been in Taurus in the last 7 years, it's going to be moving into Gemini. And so we're not going to see it again, this particular conjunction cazimi point with the sun and Uranus in Taurus for another 84 years. So for most of us, it won't be our lifetime. Unless, of course, we get those med beds and then we can turn on our eternal bodies again. But for those of us, in other words, there's a significance happening with the sun, which is our identification, which is what we can see. It's our vital life force energy. It's going to be right next to the planet of change, of flashes of insight, right? Things that would never have been seen or revealed. And you look through the sign of where this cazimi is going to be happening. Well, it's in Taurus. Taurus is the body, it's the senses, it's the phi, right? If you look at their trivia, gosh, I'm having a hard time talking today. The Vitruvian man, right, which is the five-pointed star, right? That's the body. It's talking about our physical body, which is also tied into Venus, right? Because if you look at the five-pointed star of Venus, she goes through a cycle and she does it 8 times. So there's configurations, cymatical energies that are happening here that are revealing to us this new design of the body. I'm seeing those of you who study human design, your human design is shifting and changing. All of humanity is. And if you follow Richard Rudd in the Gene Keys, he talks about Homo luminous, which is the next octave of evolutionary phases if we're moving from Homo sapiens into Homo luminous, which is more the humans of light, right? So if you study crystalline structures and think we're becoming more of a crystalline body, this is the upgrade or the transformation that's happening. We're coming more from a carbon-based humanoid design system that function mostly on food for energy, different types of food, and whether you're a vegetarian or a meat eater, it doesn't matter. This is not about judgment. This is about how we were able to conduct energy, Uranus, electricity, right? So that's changing. That's what Uranus is coming in and saying, especially in Aquarius, with Pluto in Aquarius, is, hey, we are transforming. Our human design is transforming. And what we're transforming into is unknowable, because at our essence and our core, we're ineffable. We're ineffable beings. You can never really truly, through the human language, speak on that which can never really be spoken on, right? So this is sort of the paradox, and this is where this interesting sort of square is happening with Jupiter, a planet of expansion, and Gemini, the mind, how we think, is squaring off with the nodes of the moon, which is that axis point of the south node and north node in Pisces. And so squares just mean something needs to shift and change. So what is shifting and changing? Well, Uranus is going to come in to reveal to us what needs to shift and change within our psyche, within our ego, the id, the ID, right? So when we show our IDs, we're showing our ids, which is the first house, Aries, which is the house of the I am presence. And in Taurus, it's how are you in your bodies? So for those of you who've been doing the work, right, coming from this axis point at the south node in Virgo, moving towards north node. South node is about being in the body in Virgo. It's about our systems. It's about our health, all the designs of our health, our spiritual, mental, emotional, physical, and financial health, right? These are all aspects of 5 of the body and how we take care of ourselves. So how have you been taking care of yourselves to make room, to make space, to alchemize these energies within you, to make room for these new reveals about how the body really works, or how it could be working as we're moving more towards this Homo luminous phase of humanity. So the human design is shifting, guys. How we knew ourselves to be in this world is changing. And so what does that even look like? That to me looks like a change in what we've been eating, a new frequency and how we put things into our body and how it really affects our homeostasis, right? How we stay balanced. And I'm even transcending the word balance, because balance to me seems so illusionary. I think of like a seesaw, right? A seesaw is never truly balanced. And if it is, that means it's not moving. Think of my childhood when going to a playground, playing on the seesaw, right? So balancing to me, the scales, Libra, is always in flux. But rhythm, and I have to shout out to this TikTok channeler, and I don't know who their name is, but it really resonated when they said, they're trying to find their rhythm rather than being in balance, which is, we're constantly in movement, but it doesn't have to be that flux of polarity of this or that, right? It can be and more, which is finding the rhythm of your light and your shadow, right? The agreeable aspects of you and the disagreeable aspects. Again, I'm using the language to get into neutrality, to transcend this polarized thinking of bad or good, right or wrong. Because if we're all of it, then we're just varying degrees of the same energy, of the same energetic field, right? And I think of going back to college, right? You get your degrees, the higher octave, which you get more information, is you go from that axis point Gemini, which is early education data, how we just learned certain things in early education. And now the axis point ninth house Sagittarius is how do we apply that to higher knowledge, to higher wisdom? This is going to college, right? Getting your degrees. So again, I use the language to upgrade the language to reflect on the energies that are happening. And I'm doing it in an upgraded way, right? The highest octave possible that I have access to in this now time moment. And so over these next few days, these next few days, especially approaching the 17th and 18th, as we're approaching this cazimi, which is really wanted to be shown on today. Because again, there's so much astrology that can be talked about, guys. And there are beautiful astrologers out there that can go more precise into, the days and what happened in the past, how we can look to the past to see what might be happening in the now that might project the future. And that's a great way to see astrology. I love following, different types of astrologers, but this particular channel is more intuitive and in the now, because as I realize I can't project too much into the future because we're stepping into a very unknown chapter of humanity. So my projections would just be my own set of experiences, right? So what I'm allowing myself is I'm allowing myself the small id, the small ID, just kind of step out of the way and allow the highest version of myself to come through and to channel this energy. So that's why I said this is an intuitive astrology channeled reading, because it's going to be pulling from my own gnosis, from my own DNA, my own inner reflections as I went through this deep alchemic process through Scorpio, not just natally, but in transit. And so these are the energies that wanted to be spoke of that are in transit right now that might be affecting and influencing you. So just know that with Scorpios, moons especially, something has to die. And you can almost feel like this severe state of depression because you feel like you're going to die, literally. I mean, it is, I'm so grateful for awareness that, oh yeah, okay, this is just the feeling of something has to die again. Because it always is such a depressive, whenever a Scorpio moon comes up, it's like, it's very intense and you feel like something literally is dying. And sometimes you almost feel like, oh, I just want this part of my life to die, or I just want to give this up, or I don't want this anymore. And I just, you reach your final stage. I think of like how the digestion happens, right? It's where the body releases the excrement. Everything, all the nutrients have been pulled from that situation. All the things that were gleaned from that experience have been compacted, formed, transmuted, and now it's being ready to let go. Kind of like when you eat a delicious meal and it goes through that process and you get all the nutrients. And then finally you're like, okay, the body's like, I'm ready to let this go. I've gotten everything I can from this experience, this meal. All the nutrients are fed, my cells are fed, my blood is fed, and now everything else has to go. So this is the natural design, right, of Scorpio, is letting things go. Now, those of you who are constipated, this is the metaphor, but it's also energetically, that have a hard time letting things go, just like with the body, right? It's constipated. There are things that are impacted in your life that are affecting you, that can be toxifying your body. If you don't properly release, you can see how the body can be directly affected by this. So again, this is going to the nodes of fate, which is the South Node in Virgo, North Node in Pisces. What we've come to learn is our spiritual bodies are affected by our physical bodies. Everything is interconnected and related because it's all part of this human design, right? And the spiritual part of us is just what happens up above. The spiritual aspect also happens in the body. It happens below. Again, Hermeticism, looking at those 7 principles. And if you've never heard of these aspects or these references, I would invite you to, again, study Hermeticism and the 7 principles of Hermeticism and how it operates in these realms of consciousness, and how they're, again, helps us with our human design of what we're projecting as these projectors, right? This is also part of the quantum energy field that livzenastrology comes from, is that we are co-creating our experience real time based on our own inner operating system and our own inner cymatical frequencies, resonance, harmonic astrology. This channel also pulls from shamanistic astrology, right? So when an animal shows up for you, or a certain herb, or, you know, something that's calling to you in the physical, that's also part of the shamanistic reflection of what's happening, right, in the physical realms. So let's go ahead and take a look at the chart, so that way you guys can kind of see the astrology of this. And especially if you're looking at your own chart and you want to learn the symbols, because to me, learning the symbols is, it's like telling a whole story about, because, you know, for example, this is the symbol of the moon, which right now today it's transiting or moving through Sagittarius, and then it's going to be moving into Capricorn, we see probably within the next few hours. And so just this symbol here, which is the moon, right, which is that half crescent, tells a whole story, a whole archetypical energy of what this one little hieroglyph could mean. So you have to understand there's many stories that are being told simultaneously, not just with the hieroglyphs, but the designs, right? The numerology also tells a story. The way that the moon might be aspecting, or which would be the geometry, right? Whether it's a square, or whether it's a trine, or whether it's a sextile, or any of the other nuanced aspects in between the chart. This is how these aspects or these energies are showing up for you. So everything means something in astrology. It's just how you put together the aspects within yourself. And again, knowing thyself and knowing what these symbols mean could really benefit you, because you can tell your own story about what your chart is saying. So again, I have a free ebook PDF that I'd love to send to you guys, that for those of you that are studying astrology and want to get further into your own chart. So again, you could just reach out to me, livzenastrology@gmail.com, and I would be happy to send that to you. So let's get into some of the energy. Today is May 15th, 2025, and we can see here that Venus is some astrologers talk about, and I'm still trying to understand, leaving the shadow period. And that's me diving further into what that really means. But when there's a retrograde, it's kind of like an engine that stops. The energy never really stops, but it's the appearance of it from a geocentric perspective, that the planets almost seem like they're going backwards because they're going so fast, right? It's the timing of how things are circulating around each other. So it's the perception. And our perception has been that Venus had been in retrograde along with Mars, along with some of our, personal planets that are now moving forward. And we're coming out of that period. It's almost like a phase of the moon that's in shadow, right? You can only see part of it. Thinking of, dark side of the moon, you just see the part of it. So that Venus, our love and money planet, is coming out of that shadow part of the moon where you couldn't see, that's now ready to be seen. It's also in its Venus, it's in its morning star phase. So meaning it's rising above the horizon, and you can see it's got its evening star and its morning star phase. And again, for those of you who want to look this up, you can either chat GBT it, get further into what these phases mean. But in the morning star phase, it means it wants to take action, it wants to be seen, it wants to be more direct, right? So in the evening phase, it's more reflective, going inwards, doing the inner value work internally. But when it's in its morning star phase, it wants to be seen. It's shining like the sun, right? It wants to ascend and to take action. So it's in its morning star phase right now, and it's in its out of its shadow period. So we're going to start really feeling momentum, especially since it's going to be trining, and it already is trining our Mars action energy. System disarm. That's my alarm. It goes off every now and again because the battery needs to be changed. Ironic, right? It's Aquarius. This is part of my evolution of seeing what needs to be shifted out. So again, as above, so below. But yeah, so that went off, that alarm went off as we were talking about Mars and Leo trining Venus and Aries. Okay, so the trines are harmonious energies. And again, if you want that free PDF to understand what these aspects mean, I'd love to share that with you. So the trines mean that and you can even see it here in the middle, see these triangle energies, right? So this is the geometric pattern of the cymatical energies that are vibrating as these harmonies of the planets, the harmonies of the spheres are moving and they're speaking to each other. So Mars is speaking very harmoniously to Venus. Mars is considered masculine, right? It's the causal, it's the things that create movement, right? It's the energy that creates movement. And so we want to see, well, how is the energy creating movement in what frequency? So that's when you look to the sign. And the frequency that it's creating movement is in the sign of Leo. Leo is creativity. It rules the fifth house, which is the child, right? And it also rules the part of the body that's the heart. So coming from the heart, Mars wants to take action from the heart. And with Venus and Aries, Aries is the I am, it rules the first house. And Venus is your love, your money, your values, what you care about, your beauty, right? So this is where this harmonious energy is saying, hey, your creations that come from the heart right now, this is my own interpretation anyways, the channel, not my own. This is the channel energy that wants to come through. It's when you create from the heart, when you take action from the heart, right? And you really learn, you decide to love yourself, your I am presence. And maybe start working with that mantra because there's a harmonious energy that can be believed right now, that can be integrated. I am creative. I am harmonically balanced. I create from my heart, right? I am love. I am worthy of creating. My creations are worthy and valued, and I can receive abundance from creating from my heart. So these are just some of the channeled mantras that wanted to come through as you're working through these energies, especially today, and especially when the moon is transiting through Sagittarius. Because over the next few days, what's going to be happening as we go into the 16th now, you can see that the moon's going to be transiting or ingressing, which is another astrology word, ingressing into Capricorn. And so the moon is our emotional nature, and Capricorn we're going to feel the need to get to work, right? So really feeling the need to get to work on our creations, but again, overcoming, because we also have this square happening between Jupiter and Gemini right here. And Gemini rules the third house, our thoughts, how we think, how we speak, how we process information. Excuse me, is actually squaring the nodes of the moon, right? So this is the south node, which is what we've already learned, right, from the past. And this is the north node, what we all collectively have come to learn, which is designing our future, right? But with Jupiter, the planet of expansion that's in Gemini, the mind, squaring these nodes, meaning square just means something needs, it's the design of the square, like 90-degree angle. Something needs to shift or change. I think of like, and why is that? Imagine sitting in a chair, right? And you're at a 90-degree angle point, and your legs start going numb because you need to move, right? You need to circulate the energy. You can only be sitting down so long before the body's like, yo, I got to move, because everything's constantly moving and changing, right? So if you're stagnant or not moving, that's when you can get numbing in the legs. And so anyway, this is just a metaphor for why squares are important, because if a square happens in the chart, and we're seeing this right now with the nodes of fate and squaring off Jupiter, our planet of expansion, something needs to shift because we've gotten stagnant. Our circulation isn't moving coherently. So when squares show up in the chart, you just need to change. You need to move, right? Something needs to move or shift. So with Jupiter, planet of expansion, and Gemini thoughts squaring, what's shifting? Well, how we take care of ourselves, health, and our spiritual practices, Pisces, right? Our relationship to oneness, to unity, to all that is, right? I think of like the ocean, where Virgo is the cup in the water that will gather, the cup will hold everything in the ocean. The ocean is Pisces, right? The ocean itself. So I'm thinking of the vastness. And then, of course, Virgo is the vessel, right? It's how we traverse the vastness of the ocean. It's our vessel, right? So is your ship intact? Or do you have holes in your ship? Have you had holes in your gut and your digestion? I'm looking at also Cancer too, right? Because Mars was in Cancer for so long. So it's also showing that where we have been out of balance, maybe with our digestive system, because Cancer rules the part of the body was digestion. So now we have this energy where it's emphasizing that the square, something needs to shift on our daily habits, which is also Virgo, moving more towards our spiritual nature. So what you take, the physical actions you take in the body, need to have the component of and to be able to nurture your spiritual side, because Jupiter's coming in to expand you and says, hey, you can take all the data you want. In other words, say, for example, that you're holding a lot of weight, right? Things have been heavy and literally have manifested as weight on the body, right? So you're out of balance or out of homeostasis with your weight. You're carrying on too much weight. So what Jupiter's saying is, yeah, you can learn about all kinds of diet, all kinds of ways for nutrition, all kinds of herbs to bring balance back to the body. But what do you need? You already know what you need, but can you bring that to your spiritual practices, right? Can you breathe with intention, learning to connect to the divine aspect of self, because your body is the divine instrument being played by the cosmos. Think of like a harp, right? So you're tuning your energy, your frequency, so that you can play with others, the collective energies, Pisces, with grace and ease, right? With more love, with more vitality, more bliss. Joseph Campbell in The Hero's Journey talks about following your bliss. But if you don't feel good in your body, it's sure as hell hard to follow your bliss, right? So this is what's being shifted right now, especially with Jupiter's like, look, Jupiter wants to expand you, but you have to know what's good for you, right? And take all the data, the information, learn about fasting, learn about breathing, learn about meditation, learn about being in the body and being present, and apply it to you, to your own gnosis. This is also Venus, right? Learn to value your own intuitive nature and what's right for you. Data is one thing, but assimilating data into wisdom, Jupiter, the higher octave, right? It's the opposition also. If you look at Gemini, it opposes Sagittarius, which is right here, right? So you can see that Sagittarius opposes Gemini here. So again, taking data, which is, there's a lot of it right now. You can go online, you can find anything you want about anything. But what makes sense to you? What wants to be alchemized within you in your own unique way? You take these practices, for example. Okay, I'll give you an example. So, I love spiritual practices that put me in my body, right? This is Virgo. So things that connect me to my body, like tapping. And I've been using a lot of Qigong. So, tapping my arms, I now know where my limbs are, right? The parts of my body that are filtration system. So every day it's been my spiritual practice as I'm connecting to my body to move my limbs, right? There's different parts of the body. There's something in your face and your neck and right here around your collarbone. There's, again, this is an invitation for you to learn your body, study your body. This is also Gemini, right? Learn these things and then apply them with your spiritual practices, right? Because to be healthy is spiritual. It's the higher octave of you. It's the highest version of you. Because I've also, gone through severe times where my body has not felt good and feels like parts of me were dying. This is past full moon in Scorpio, right? Part of me were dying. And this is also intense for me too, because this is something to be aware of, as parasites are hatching or as turtles are hatching, it's a good time to do a cleanse. So during full moons, that's when parasite eggs hatch. So if you can do some sort of cleanse, parasite cleanse, diatomaceous earth, maybe some shilajit, maybe some chlorophyll to, because you want to eliminate, you want to absorb as these parasites are hatching, you want to be able to take them out of your body, because parasite excretion, when it dies off, it excretes this poisonous toxins that if you don't have a binder as you're removing the parasites, then that could also toxify your body as well. So enemas during a cleanse or a fast is really good. Again, this is all Scorpio, right? Because it rules excrement. If you need support helping you move stuff out that have been fixed, because Scorpio's fixed water, and in Taurus, it's fixed earth. So maybe things that have been in your body embedded for a long time. I'm thinking cysts or some sort of, overgrowths in your body are ready to be released. Because the download I received too is that, we demonize these parts of our bodies, but parasites are normal. It's just learning to live with it, just like our biodiversity in our gut biome. We say we have agreeable bacteria and disagreeable bacteria. And so one's not better than the other. It's just, are they in rhythm with each other, right? And if they're out of rhythm, then that's when the body gets sick. That's when the body becomes at dis-ease. So and for me, I always like to do a cleanse or a fast during this moon in Scorpio anyway, because I'm a Scorpio sun baby. And whenever the sign is in this, comes around is in the same sign as your sun, the same time it happens once a month, that's when your seed drops. And I would check out Santo, what's his last name? Starts with a B. Anyway, he's coming in right now to show that that's also a part of the body when your seed is dropping, to repair and restore your systems by doing some sort of a cleanse, and not to have sexual relations, because that's part of your Kundalini energy. That's right, parts of you that get restored, rejuvenated, reactivated once a month or a month, when the sun sign that you were born in comes into the moon sign. So again, that was Scorpio for me. So when the sun in Scorpio, or when the moon's in Scorpio once a month, I align with that to do a cleanse and to fast, because for me, I know that's when my seed is dropping. And that's when I know I can restore, rejuvenate, and replenish my whole systems just by understanding timing, which is what astrology also teaches us, right? The timing of things. So it's like a time clock. So let's look at the time clock of what's happening, moving into the 17th, 18th. We can see right here. Now, this is when the sun and the moon, or sun and Uranus, this is the conjunction, right? So they're at 27 degrees. That just means a conjunction. They're right next to each other in the cosmic energy field. And you can see that it's going to be sextiling here, the nodes of the moon, right? Because they're within a 2-degree orb. An exact sextile would mean that, say, if the nodes were at 27, right? That would be exact. But usually astrologers make way for either a 2 or 3-degree orb, meaning as long as they're within 2 or 3 degrees of each other, it's still considered that potent energy. And we can see sextiles are also opportunities. So they're harmonic energies, but they're opportunities for us to what? Okay, so the sun is going to reveal something in your body, Taurus, which again, if you want to go back and look at, I did an energy update about the toric field a couple of weeks ago, and you can check out livzenastrology channel about that, about the Taurus, right? So again, playing with the language, Taurus is the toric field. It's the field of energy that's constantly flowing. Again, you could go look online to see the Taurus field, T-O-U-R-S, and the toric field of energy, or the toroidal field, T-O-R-D-I-A-L. Again, look at the way that the energy works. It's almost like a donut, right? Just like the earth plane looks like a donut, we call it the torus. So the torus within us is going to reveal to us something about our systems, our body, what the sun is going to be shining, and even giving new energy, new data, new streams, because that's what light is. The sun reveals light. The sun is constantly streaming information, data, Gemini. And that's what it is. And so as we're stepping into this homo luminous aspect of humanity, which is the upgraded version, going from Homo sapiens to Homo luminous, becoming less carbon-based and more crystalline, right? So we're getting more formed, our structure, especially you're going to be seeing this when Saturn goes into Aries. We can talk about that. It'll be another energy report. And Saturn in our structure, right? So being in Pisces, these old structures have been dissolving. This is also the energetic degree in astrology, the 29th, which is the most potent. Think of like if you distill an oil and you get the most potent part of the oil after the distillation process. This is the most potent part of this energy in Pisces, Saturn, that has been deeply dissolving those old constructs and things within the body, within our spiritual nature, within our psyches, that have to dissolve, because when it goes into Aries at the end of the month, which is, I believe, the 25th or 26th, new formations are going to be happening within the body, first house. This is where it's going to really start solidifying, and Aries is fire, right? So it's going to be burning. I'm thinking of like a mist, right? If you've ever lived in the woods and after a rainstorm and it's very misty out, and then the sun comes to burn away the mist and it starts evaporating. That's what we're going to start experiencing with Saturn, right? New cymatic patterns, new formations that are happening deeply within our psyche, within our spiritual nature, Pisces, within our collective consciousness or unconsciousness, rather, or inner consciousness. We're going to start seeing more clarity because Ceres is there, right? She's the asteroid in mythology. She is Persephone's mother that would mourn because when Hades took Persephone to the underworld and tricked her to stay there by eating the pomegranate seeds, then Ceres, the mother, who's the harvest of the grain, she's the one that makes sure that the plants and everything comes alive. That's why she was in mourning, because, Jupiter had to come and be the mediator and say, okay, Ceres, you can have your daughter half of a year, but then she's got to go back to Pluto, Hades, the underworld, if you will, the winter months, so that things can die and be reborn, right? So these mythos or archetypes are telling us about ourselves. They're telling us about what happens not only in our psycho-spiritual nature, but what is happening in the physical, right? And so we can see that with the changing of the seasons. So this is also going to be conjuncting Neptune, which rules Pisces, which is our spiritual nature. And of course, it's going to be, we're still, that trine is still happening with Mars and Venus. So these aspects and configurations, there's a lot of sort of overlays of energy that are happening. But the big reveal, the big sort of aha moment, especially how to integrate this energy, because how we think, Mercury is also going to be in Taurus. So the more you can slow down between the May 17th and 18th, take your time, ground, to get into the earth, Taurus, because there's your electrical system, which is Uranus, which rules the nervous system, is going to be getting more solar impactful codes from the sun, more data, more information. And this past full moon in Scorpio just left a lot of room. It was alchemizing all these things that were toxic, these excrement, these already processed things that were maybe stuck, were let go to make room for the new. Okay, so be prepared for it. Allow yourself to receive, maybe even go and stand. I like to go outside and stand in this Y formation. Why? Because it shows, it's almost like, I see it like a satellite dish, right? Because my eye, your Y, when you form a Y, if you like going the YMCA, right? So when you form your Y, you're literally becoming an antenna that reveals to you your Y. So you might be revealing a new Y, a new code of energy from the sun through your nervous system. And so in order to receive this code, this energy, this influx, this big reveal of what wants to come through, you got to be prepared for it. So take your shoes off, go get into your Y stance if you want. That's how I'm going to be doing it. And allow yourself to see things in a new way that's unexpected, that's never been seen before, that can really allow that data to come through, make space for it. And then grounding in, like taking your shoes off, allows this current of energy, think of like a grounding wire, to actually go into the cellular structure of your body, right? The new the new cymatic formations that are coming through the sun is going to be super impactful, because we've also got Mars trining Venus. So there's this harmonious integration of how we act and how we feel, what we're magnetized to, and how we take action on that which we're magnetized to, how we come from our hearts, how it really is a coherent experience, right? So the other day I was told to talk to all my organs. I was holding myself, giving myself, my inner child, my Chiron and Aries. I was giving myself a hug. And I was saying, okay, liver, heart, kidneys, digestion, blood, we're all part of the same system. We are all part of love. We don't have to disagree anymore. The heart is not better than the liver. The kidneys are not more robust than the bladder, right? We're all part of this operating system. So let's just get along. Let's just get along. And so that was sort of a meditation as I was out in nature playing, and it felt good to be able to just talk to my systems, talk to my body, and saying, hey, we got this. We're a team, right? Team humanity, because that's what's going to me. What I was shown is this unity consciousness, what we've come to learn, especially right now, while it's conjuncting Saturn, and Saturn it's been in this Pisces for the last 29 years. So it's been a long time to integrate our spiritual connection to our bodies, right? And what's happening outside of us is a direct reflection of what's happening inside of us. So learn to love all your systems, learn about your systems. How do your systems work? This is all Virgo, right? How do these processes within you work? Because they're all for you. Everything is happening for you. And if there's any kind of dissonance or disagreement that's happening, then it's about learning homeostasis, right? It's about learning how to take care, taking action, loving yourself enough to not judge yourself, but just see that there may be disagreeable or agreeable aspects that need to be more in rhythm within you, right? And so you're just learning, you're remembering. And so when I pulled a card today about the energies, and I asked energetically, I said, what does this cazimi, what is it going to be revealing to the collective, to myself, and to anybody that's watching this channel? And I received the Knight of Swords. So when I looked it up numerologically, the Knight of Swords rules the part of autumn. So it rules Libra, Scorpio, Sagittarius time period. So moving into September. And we know we also have this, again, we're going to be having a full solar eclipse coming in September. So this energy is revealing that there's new aha moments, probably new reveals in technology about the body. We've been hearing about med beds and different ways to take care of ourselves, new health systems. And with the collapse of what's going on with Pluto, and especially after being in Capricorn for so long, now moving into Aquarius, I'm sensing there's going to be new reveals in healthcare, right? How we take care of groups, organizations, and communities, that there's going to be, big reveals on how there's already technology out there or in here that just has to be activated. It has to be released. It has to be revealed. Scorpio, it has to be seen. It's been hidden in the shadows, right? Only a few few people, few energies have been able to have access to it, which is also, that's the dark side of Aquarius, which is elitism, right? So moving from only a few was able to have true health, which is true wealth, is going to be it's going to be, I keep saying revealed, but also it's going to be unleashed, right? It's going to be allowed for everybody to tap into it. And so for those of us, and because of the square, you might be seeing some energies that want to hold on and keep it in secret, right? Keep it to themselves. But again, these are all aspects of you. So what can you let go of? What can you reveal to yourself? What part of your governing bodies can be more equitable as you see everything as a whole, right? As you see the connection point as the whole. And there's some cards that I wanted to come through that I wanted to show. I'm going to stop screen share here. I wanted to pull a couple of cards for the collective about what you can be seeing, what you can be feeling. So, and I love cards. I just love divination cards. I think they're amazing. And they're just really artistic ways of sharing the energy. And so when I was asking what cards wanted to be worked with today, I'm pulling from the Shaman's Dream Oracle deck. So again, anybody that's watching this video, this is for you about this cazimi, the sun and Uranus that's coming up on the 17th, 18th, that window of energy that will be exact on the 17th, but we're still going to be feeling the effects of it, especially since the moon's going to be going into Aquarius during that time on Saturday. So let me take a breath here. Let me take a sip of my mineral water. I've been loving this mineral water. Minerals are amazing for the body during this time right now, especially since there's been a lot depleted from our soils, and we know about that. What's going on again? Sirius is revealing how she is the Earth Grain Mother. Oh, here we go. That just came through as I was talking about that. All right, dances on one foot, balancing act 9. So we just talked about balance and the difference between balance and rhythm. And of course, it's a 9, so it's completion. And so again, learning to balance, the seesaw is also our feet. So this is a Luna moth that is learning to fly. And she's also, it looks like she's also dancing. and while she's still on foot, but she's learning to balance and to ascend through learning to fly is what I'm seeing. So I'm looking at the color green here, which again, working with the heart energy, working with the earth. So balancing is to be balanced, be out in nature, ground. I know a lot of people talk about this, but it's medicine, guys. There's something, oh, I'm burping. Mineral water's working. There's something magical when you become, because we're bioelectrical beings. And if your grounding wire is not grounded, then you can feel it energetically. It puts things off balance. And I'm even seeing too, like the hemisync, it takes you out of sync with your left and your right hemispheres, right? The left brain, which is logical, linear, masculine, right? Think like the one and zero. And then the zero, the right part, which rules the left, is our feminine, it's our creativity, it's non-linear, and it's the zero, right? If we're operating in ones and zeros. So being out in nature, maybe working with the color green, knowing it's a completion, that cycles are ending. So anywhere you felt out of balance or out of whack or out of homeostasis within any of your operating system, this is what's being called for right now, is to recognize it, not judge it is right or wrong, bad or good, but just evaluate, when I take this substance, or when I listen to this music, or when I go hang out with this person or this group, how do I feel? Truly acknowledge if it throws you out of balance, if it makes you feel good, keep doing it, and good in an organic way, not as an escapist way. Again, this is the discernment between Pisces, because Pisces rules also addictions and escapism. That's the shadow or the disagreeable aspect of Pisces, which again, we're at the 29-degree anaretic. It might be the most intense, those of us who have had addictions or addicted to either people or substances or jobs or whatever it is that we are fixated on, or maybe we feel has a hold of us in our geometry and our chemical makeup. That's what's being alchemized right now. And you can do that being more in nature, because she's more balanced, right? Mother Gaia is ascending and in her own phase. And so she is also learning to navigate being in homeostasis. So when you're out there with her, you're learning to both be in homeostasis together. That's my experience. Also, talking to the trees has been really awesome. I saw a couple of TikTok videos where they actually held their hands out and asked the trees to touch them, the branches to come down and touch them. And that's been working. I've been doing it every day. It's so fun. Oh my gosh. I'm like such a kid playing with nature. There's also this grandfather tree that I go and speak to, and he's got this amazing sap that's coming out of it that smells like cedar wood. It's got this pine smell, this terpene. I'm not sure exactly what it is, but it's so grounding and amazing. And just working with these nature spirits, right, have been so healing for me. My inner child, I almost feel like, the archetype of Snow White, where they like talks to the birds, and I've been seeing cardinals, and I've been seeing rabbits, and there's little bluebirds that have built a nest that had built a nest right side my window. And so I got to watch the bluebirds in their little stages where they were, opening their mouths and waiting for mama to feed them, and just being able to hold witness to the magic of nature was super healing for me. It helped me understand my own systems and understand my processes, right? Because my guys are showing me, they're like, baby girl, you're like that little chick, you're like that little bird that's being fed right now, and that's okay. That was me, learning to heal the wounds of the child, Chiron and Aries, that sometimes I need to be fed. I need to allow myself to receive the nourishment that's all around me, if I just allow myself to see it, right? So just even watching nature and allowing her to show me her medicine and the way she operates was very healing to me. So again, this is an invitation to go outside in nature and to connect to your body in a whole new way, maybe with some certain herbs and substances and things that are bring you more into wholeness, into balance, because true health, or true wealth rather, is your health. And so another card that I wanted to pull in relation to that was also from the herbal astrology deck, which again, I like to work with certain herbs. I am not a doctor, I'm not a professional. This is just an energetic read on the energies and how I work with it. So I just wanted to preface that. If you guys are experiencing any serious medical conditions, I would invite you to go see your holistic practitioner, anybody that you resonate, that can actually listen and take care of your whole systems. I'm not going to say to go to a doctor, but go to a practitioner that can take an integrative approach to your wellness, right? Which is what this channel is. It's because all is self, right? So we want to see the parts of ourselves that are asking to be integrated, asking to be revealed, asking to be worked with. And let's invite in a particular herb, please, that can help the collective. Anybody watching this to participate, you don't have to take it in the physical. You can just work with the energy itself, energetically. You just, again, this is what I do sometimes when I don't have the physical substance. I ask for the energy to come through me, through the plasma body, the plasma field, to be absorbed into my system. And I use my imagination station on that. And so, if I'm missing any kind of herb or anything that my body's depleted of, I ask for it to be through the quantum field to merge with that. And that's just something you can play with, guys. Again, we can create anything, right? Our imaginations are powerful. The higher mind is powerful. It's just how we're working with it and not being distracted by the gloom and doom stuff that we can be seeing, right? Again, those are old constructs that are dissolving away anyway. So we're just watching the disintegration of the caterpillar before it becomes a butterfly. Again, this is all metaphor that I speak on, but so those with ears to hear, this is for you. And so the herb that wants to be 3-9, again, another 9, is ginkgo, which is breakthrough. So you can see the card here right now. It almost looks like the Ace of Swords, and the energies that it's going to be, the planetary energies that work with this energy of ginkgo is actually Mars and Uranus. So Mars, we talked about, it's in Leo. It's ruling the heart. It's our action. And Uranus is unconventional, unexpected. It rules the nervous system. It rules electricity. It rules, there's so many things that Uranus rules, right? Airfare or air travel, rules the youth. And with, again, conjuncting the sun, this is new swords or words, new ideas, new ways of seeing. I almost see a magician too. There's the star of Venus, which is also pointing to Venus in Aries right now. And it's the first, right? The first sign of the zodiac. I also see the crow right here, which is the messenger, which again, the sun is going to be bringing you solar flare messages, Uranus, to your electrical system. So be grounded so you can receive it. You can receive this new way of seeing, right? The sword, I see the hand, which also is ruled by Mercury, holding the ideas. So, and it's going to be cutting through illusions, cutting through, again, the 29-degree Pisces, old illusions, old ways of navigating our spiritual realm, right? Looking outside of us to see the answers when really the answers have been inside of us the whole time. So this is what's shifting and changing from what I can see. And so this is, again, my own, but this time period, this portal, it's going to be unique to you. What do you need to see? What is coming up to, what aha message is being revealed, and what action you're going to be taking now that you know what this energy is. So ginkgo at this time could be a great herb to help support you during this transition. I'm seeing ginkgo too as like a fire herb. So again, really igniting a new passion, a new way of seeing, a new way of using your words, and how you perceive the world is going to be completely shifted. Again, Ace of Swords, new beginnings, new ways of seeing the world. And again, we have the Knight of Swords taking action. So you can see that too. And this is also Aquarius, right? Because the triangle upward is a masculine energy, meaning the causal, which makes you take action, makes you change, right? The receptive feminine is what we take in. The causal is how we project out and how we make things move around us. And another card I wanted to pull also in honor to really integrate that, the body is the earth is the body. And so I love working with these cards, which is Love Your Body from Louise Hayes, because I do work with, it's the terrain theory. That's what it's called, the terrain theory. Thank you. I was having a hard time. So yeah, the terrain theory is also integrated with astrophysiology. Again, what's happening in the body is happening in the earth. So I'm looking at, when we look outside the wars that are happening, Ukraine and what's going on in Gaza, I just ask the part of the body, which part of the body is warring with self, right? And where can I end these wars within so that I can see these wars dissipating and resolving without? this is what I want to project as I'm a projector. I'm actually a generator in my human design. And my gene key, I've got a lot of 41s. So I'm also in that regard, the highest octave, which is the city, which is just being it, right? It's actually emanating the frequency of change. So just be literally becoming the change. So I always ask these cards, as a support system, which part of my body am I warring with? What part of my body can I give support to right now that if I might be warring within, that I'm seeing these wars without? What can I do to calm that part of my system that I can see that being reflected out in a more cohesive, gentle manner, right? Again, those of you with ears to hear, eyes to see. And when I was asking that, this is for all of us, the card that came through was I love my genitals, which is Scorpio. Again, doesn't just rule excrement, but it also rules sexuality, sacred sexuality, Kundalini energy, which is at the base of the spine right here, right? So this is it rules the nether world of our chakra system, which again, the old paradigm of Pisces as being the holder of religion, where in that aspect did it teach us to be shameful of our bodies, right? I don't know about you who went to church, but there was a lot of subconscious, unconscious programming that would create shame around the body, right? Self-pleasure or any kind of pleasures or senses with the body that was outside of marriage or outside of the religious indoctrination was considered shameful, right? So this has been a lot that came up for me too with this full moon, where I still was carrying shame, guilt around sexuality, around being sexually expressive, around being, creative, because the highest octave of creativity is sexuality. That's one of the deep tantric reveals, is that we create life when we have sex, right? When we merge together in that sacred union. And so where has that been out of balance? Where were we in shame in our body and our sexuality and how we created? And so the mantra for this says, I rejoice in my sexuality. It is natural for me. I appreciate the pleasure my body gives me. It is safe for me to be who I am. So this is also what's going to be revealed to you anywhere you've been out of balance in your body, in your sexual nature, where there's been pain, suppression, shame, guilt, especially for those of us who carry that in our wombs, because all life comes from a womb, right? The sacred reveal of the divine feminine. And where has there been wounds in the feminine? Again, this is that axis point, because Black Moon Lilith, we talked about that at the beginning of this channeling, was the part of us that were exiled because we didn't want to be dominated, because we wanted to be sexual equals. We wanted to be sexually balanced with our partners, and we weren't allowed to be because of the indoctrination, the programming, the religious fervor that kept us bound in bondage to these ways of believing. And I'm not saying, religion's right or wrong or good or bad. It's just a frequency. And it's the agreeable parts of religion and the disagreeable parts. And for me, that's been the disagreeable part that has kept a lot of us even scared to create, right? Even scared to create businesses. If you're a woman out there, to step into your power, right? To be your authentic, creative, primal life force creator has been shamed in the past because of, again, religious indoctrination, but all that shifting and collapsing. As that 29-degree anaretic in Pisces, that's dissolving. And we're stepping into more of an age of sovereignty, of being in the body, right? The I am presence. I am safe to be sexual. I am safe to be in my body. And it's okay for me to have desires and cravings and desire for union. But I'm just going to go to the next octave of it, right? The highest octave of it, which is the sacred tantra, the sacred union of beings. So is there anything else that wanted to come through in this now time moment for anybody's watching? Is there any other messages and things that wanted to be brought to light? Yeah, I guess I just wanted to share with you too. I had an incredible conversation with my mom on Mother's Day right before this full moon in Scorpio, and was able to hold space for her stories as she was a younger woman and describing some of the experiences that she went through as a younger woman in the 60s and 70s. And so that was an opportunity for me to heal, to really hear her story And because we pick up the wounds of our mothers, right, of our ancestors. So I was able to listen to the higher octave of her and really just hold space for her and her trauma and what she went through as a young woman and what I inherited from her womb, the union between my mom and my dad. They each had their own individual wombs, but they also have gifts too, right? So, but the Scorpio full moon was revealing this is the womb of the feminine, where she felt repressed, where she was shamed in her body, where she went through some trauma that now is residing in my DNA. And so rather than judging her or trying to fix that story, what my guides were telling me is just hold space for the mother, your feminine, your divine feminine, to tell her story. And then you go and do the work to heal yourself and say, where is that story still living in me? Where is that story storied? Think of like a Empire State Building, right? It's got many stories. So where is that story buried in the basement where we were debased within our systems, within not just the feminine, but sacred sexuality, our childhood, where those indoctrination codes kept us stifled and again debased in the basement of these storied energies, right? If you're thinking of, the penthouse, it's the pentagram. Again, this is the language, the higher octave of the language is being told right now. And that's what wants to be cleared, right? Clearing the attic, clearing the basement, clearing the parts of us that have been debased for so long because of the old archaic stories of religion and the inversions of religion and how that actually kept us in bondage and kept us separate, right? Separate from our sexuality, separate from our creation, our power. These are all dynamics that Pluto holds with Scorpio. So again, holding space for the feminine within you, whether it's through your ancestral patterns or your own patterns, hold space for that divine feminine within you that's ready to be revealed, healed, alchemized, and transmuted and transformed into the phoenix, into a higher octave version of you, your highest version self. Okay. So I feel complete in this transmission. Again, if any of you guys can connect to any of this information or dialogue, or anybody that can really find value that can help support them, please consider liking, subscribing, sharing. It does matter more than you realize with the algorithm and being seen. And this is the information. It's not me. It's just the energy that wants to be seen, because this will help somebody out there that's going through these deep alchemic shifts and their sexuality and their womb space and the divine feminine and how we're all experiencing these energies. So thank you for considering just being here and for your work that you're doing, because the more you heal yourself, the more we feel it as a collective energy, the more that you're uploading that into the quantum field of energy, and we're all connected to it. So thank you for doing your work. Thank you for, allowing yourself to see your shadows, allowing yourself to transmute all these energies, because there's so much that wants to come in for Team Humanity right now. And we've chosen to be here at this time and space to hold this energy that maybe our ancestors are giving us the strength to hold these energies and to transform them so that we can all ascend, whatever timeline you're on, wherever you are in this dimensional space, right? This is what we're all doing right now is we're shifting each other. And so I hope this energy shifts you for the highest and best timeline experience. I love you guys. Thank you so much for being here. And I'll check you out on the next energy